All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Tim,
I'm Anna.
and we are the co-race directors for the Rib Mountain Adventure Challenge, this year celebrating year number 10. Anna and I have been adventure racing together for over 20 years, since 2004. We've raced in over 170 adventure races all across the country and the world. Everything from shorter, what we call sprint 5-hour races, up to full 5 to 7 day nonstop expedition adventure races. We were collegiate national champions in the sport, and we consistently rank in the top three nationally, including some podium finishes and some #1 US rankings over the years. So we're excited to put on this race every year and give back to the sport that we absolutely love. So we'll cover rules, give a general overview of the course in this race meeting. But first, it's kind of fun to talk about some demographics that we like to share. So first off, this is another year in a row, I think 4 or 5 years in a row here, where we're the largest adventure race in the US, with nearly 500 races this year signed up, coming from 13 different states, and over a third of the racers coming from outside the state of Wisconsin. Our age range this year is as young as 4 years old all the way up to 70 years old. And really exciting to see the growth of the family division. We have 30 teams in the family division this year, with over 50 kids signed up to do this race, including 2 kids that are doing the 18-hour race on family division teams. The race is pretty evenly split in terms of gender, and 30% of the racers at this race are doing their first ever adventure race. So we're excited to have you here. This race is a fundraiser for scholarships at UW-Stevens Point, both the Wausau and Stevens Point campuses of UWSP. And we've raised and given away over $90,000 towards student scholarships since the inception of this event, something we're really proud of. Welcome back to the veteran adventure racers who have done this race and many others. We'll have some people racing that have done 20+ years of racing themselves. We'll have some former national champions here at the race, this time with their kids on their team, actually. Shout out to Wadali. And shout out to the 4 racers who've done all 10 years of the Rib Mountain Adventure Challenge. That includes Jeremy Sherman of Team GAM, Jason Myers of the Myers family, and Kristen and Carl Hansen of Team RWB. Thanks for your support of this race, and it's amazing you've done all 10 years now. Welcome new racers. We started racing soon after we saw a show that used to be on TV in the late 90s called the Eco Challenge. Many of you maybe saw the reboot of that a few years back on Amazon Prime. And many of you also saw the Arthur the King movie that maybe got you hooked on the sport and interested in the sport. If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie, about a true story about a dog finding a team and an adventure race team in the middle of an expedition race, finding a dog. And it's with Mark Wahlberg. It's great. But welcome to the sport. I think this is hopefully the beginning of a fun hobby, and maybe even you might call it an addiction for us, certainly, with a great community of adventurers. Shout out especially to the 4 crazy people out there who are doing their first ever race as the 18-hour this year. So awesome just to jump right in and jump to the 18-hour.
I want to say a huge thank you to all of our volunteers. New racers just need to realize that this isn't anybody's full-time job. The race directors in the Wisconsin series have full-time jobs of their own and spend a lot of hours just doing this for y'all because we love it. We also have 60 volunteers giving up their time this week and over next weekend to help you all get through the race. And some of our volunteers have been doing it with us for 10 years too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to our sponsors. We have many sponsors that you'll see on our shirts. I'll shout them out now. Iron Bull is an overarching sponsor of this event. The Village of Rib Mountain, the City of Wausau, Nicolet National Bank, Mullins Cheese, and Mullins Whey. We love their products, and we'll have a representative from Mullins at, I think, registration, handing out samples and discount codes. It's our go-to whey protein mix for our athletic endeavors. Co-Vantage Credit Union, Rooter Ware, Ruby Coffee. There'll be some coffee at check-in in the morning for 18 and 8-hour racers. Red Eye Brewing Company, which will have beer at the end of the event for you all. Wisconsin Public Service will also have athletic brewing at the end of the event. The Dudley Foundation, the Schultz Family Foundation, Gear Junkie and Stephen Reginald through the Reginald Family Outdoors Grants, Out There USA, First Basis. A new sponsor for our Wisconsin Adventure Racing Series, which I'm really excited about, is Crawdaddy Outdoors. They'll have a team there. Jamie will be racing in the 18-hour race. Renee will be volunteering. They're a great outdoors shop based in Iowa, and you all get discount codes for 15% off in this latest race update, and you'll also get them in your swag bags off his outdoor store and the merchandise that they have available through their online store. So make sure to check out Crawdaddy Outdoors. He's also donating some amazing paddles to the Wisconsin Adventure Race Series as prizes. So be sure to check that out. So thank you to all of our sponsors of this event. Oh, thank you also to Badger Orienteering, the Minnesota Orienteering Club, and Paula from 180 Adventure for renting the e-punch. Another thing in the Wisconsin series we're excited to bring back this year is the Adventure Junkie Award. That's an award that goes to anyone who competes in at least 3 of the races in the Wisconsin Adventure Racing Series. We're working on developing that award right now with Gear Junkie, and we'll be handing that out later this year to anyone who does 3 races. Thanks also to USARA, the United States Adventure Racing Association, and the AR World Series North American Series. So, some highlights of the rules we'd like to point out. First of all, make sure if you haven't yet to go through the website and read them through carefully. These rules are for your safety, as well as the safety of the crew and the community, and to maintain fairness in the sport. Rules can be different from race to race, so just because you've maybe done a couple other adventure races doesn't mean our rules are exactly the same. So make sure you carefully read those rules that are published online. This is not a closed course, so the roads you'll be biking on and the trail systems you'll be using are open to the public. It's a holiday weekend, so please be courteous on the trails, on roadways, on water. Make sure to follow rules of the road. You'll all be going through stop signs and stop lights. So make sure to follow those rules. I know it's a race, but you got to stop if it's a red light. Make sure you're mindful of traffic. 18-hour and 8-hour racers, it's possible you could see horses. It's not likely, but you'll be in an area where there could be horses because there are some horse trails. So make sure to stop. If you're on a bicycle, get off your bike, dismount, speak with the horse rider, and figure out a system. Usually the horse rider asks to pass as you stand off to the side. We don't want anyone having a run-in that's not a good situation with the horse. So just be mindful of that, please, and be careful. There'll be some road crossings that you need to be very careful on. Again, respect other racers and other public users. Our dog's trying to get in. There she is. All right. If you're on a paved road, this is particularly for 8-hour and 18-hour racers. I suppose there's some small sections for 3-hour racers on public paved roads that aren't a path. Please be sure to ride single file. If it's at night or if it's raining or overcast, turn on that rear red flashing light. We'd like you to all have that for safety. Gear, there's a lot of racers, obviously, at this event, nearly 500. So make sure to label your stuff just to kind of keep it organized. Keep your bikes in the designated areas. 8-hour and 18-hour racers, label your paddle gear so you know that it's yours when you go to pick it up. 3-hour racers, you don't need to worry about bringing your own paddle gear. We provide it all for you. We provide paddle gear for everyone, but we allow the 8-hour and the 18-hour racers to bring their own paddle gear if they like. And we'll transport that 8-hour and 18-hour paddle gear to and from the paddle section of the race. Another rule to be very mindful of, and it's so hard, the sport is very much about the honor system, so we're relying on you to all follow the honor system, is you need to stick together as a team and be no more than 100 feet away from all your teammates. So all your teammates need to be within a 100-foot radius of each other. Don't send a runner down a trail a long distance to go punch a checkpoint while you wait at the corner. You all need to go to that checkpoint together and be within 100 feet of each other. Same thing, don't send someone up to a hilltop while the rest of the team waits at the bottom. It's outside of kind of the ethos of the sport, and it doesn't look good if other teams see you do that as well when others are trying to follow that rule. So please be mindful of that. If you notice another team that does that and it seems rather flagrant, just make a note and tell a volunteer, and we'll make a note of that and assess penalties as needed. Be respectful of private property. On some of the maps, we've marked spots of private property that we thought okay, it would be tempting to cut through here if you didn't know it was private. So we mark those with red on the maps in some spots, but we didn't mark every little piece of private property. So, if you're biking on a road system and you think, oh, I could just cut through here and it's like a neighborhood of houses in real life, be mindful of that. You should mainly be on roads and trails unless you're in the woods in a trail system.
So another thing to note is you do need to get the checkpoints by the mode of travel that's specified. So for example, paddle points, you need to get those by boat. You can't bike back to the paddle and get them by bike, or you can't get trek points by bike or get bike points by boat and vice versa. So you just it'll be delineated in your race instructions. So just make sure that you get those checkpoints with the mode of travel specified. The only exception might be when you're on the bike or in the paddle, you might need to hop out of the boat for a couple steps and punch a CP, or you might need to drop your bike, run into the woods a couple steps and then, or short distance, and then punch a point. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, no more than, and I don't think any of those should be more than 20, 30 feet away.
Yeah.
Maybe even on the paddle, maybe 20, 30, 40 feet away. All right, the way that the rankings are done for our race and for most adventure races is you're ranked first by whoever gets the most checkpoints. We anticipate in the 3-hour race that over half of the teams will be able to clear the course. Now, if you look at our results last year, that was the case. Over half the 3-hour teams cleared the course, but not everyone's going to be able to, and that's fine. You're ranked by whoever gets the most checkpoints. And if there's a tie, say half the teams get all the checkpoints, then the secondary ranking is the time in which you finished. So if there's, let's say, 15 checkpoints on the 3-hour course, if you only get 14 of them and you finish an hour ahead of everybody, you're still going to finish behind the teams who got all the checkpoints. So you're ranked first by the number of checkpoints you punch, and second by your time. By the way, I think the 18-hour course is definitely clearable for a number of teams. Same with the 8-hour, but again, if you go back and look at previous year's results, particularly last year, there weren't a lot of teams that cleared the 18 or the 8. So you kind of have to be judicious about what you try to get. The format this year for the 3-hour course is similar to last year. We called it, and we borrowed this from our friend Paulo Waite from One Eighty Adventure, who will be there racing. A choose your own adventure style course. That means the sections of the race can be done in any order, and CPs within each section can be done in any order. So you might choose to hop on your bike and do a bike section first, or hop on your bike and bike to where the paddle is, or go trekking first. You can do any of those in any order you'd like within the 3-hour race. For the 8-hour race, we're going to split teams into 2 waves, and the waves don't dictate your starting time. They dictate your starting discipline. And we will give you details on that when you check in. They'll be in your rules. Just to put in perspective, part of this is just boat constraints. If we had everyone at the boats at the same time, we would need 250 canoes and 20-some kayaks, which is frankly impossible. So we need to kind of spread everyone out. So because of that, the 8-hour racers are going to be split into waves based on division, and you'll find that out when you check in. 8-hour teams, there will also be some cutoff times within that to be done with the paddle. We think it's clearable within that amount of time, but there will be some times you have to stay on the paddle, and for the wave that's going to start on foot in the 8-hour race, there's a minimum amount of time you're going to have to spend on foot before you can leave unless you've cleared that foot trek section. Again, the goal of the race is just to get to the finish line in time. You lose a CP for every minute you're late past 5 p.m. So make sure that you're back to the finish on time, which might mean that you need to skip some points and leave some out there strategically along the way. Both the 3-hour and 8-hour courses are mass starts. We're going to gather under the start-finish banner, and we're going to say go. And 3-hour racers, you go any way you'd like. 8-hour racers, you're going to go to the discipline that is dictated by your wave. 18-hour race is a little different. It's going to be a rolling start, which means for the 18-hour race only, there's going to be a start box that you're going to have to punch. And when you punch that start box, that'll start your time on your e-stick. And you just need to make sure to note that on your watch so you know what time you have to finish by, because it won't be exactly 5 p.m. for you 18-hour racers. It'll be 18 hours from when you start the race by clicking the start control. The 18-hour course is linear, and it's pretty long. So if you're a team that thinks, oh, we don't usually get all the points, there's certainly some very strategic sections to skip. There's multiple single track sections where you could skip some or all of the single track. And there is, well, we'll just tell you now, there is a swamp whack. You may have seen a video of that swamp whack. And that swamp whack actually also, that wasn't shown in the video, it means you need to take your bike through that with you on that swamp whack. And 18-hour teams, we'll just tell you now, that might take a lot longer than anticipated, maybe up to like an hour for some of the faster teams to bike whack through that swamp section. That is bypassable. So if you're a team, again, that's maybe a little slower, not moving as fast, and maybe you're having some trouble with navigation at the beginning of the course, you might want to skip that section in particular, as well as some others strategically along the course. Again, for the teams that are going for maybe the overall win, that 18-hour course we're fairly certain is clearable, as it's been each of the last few years.
For bike drops, it's really only the 18-hour race that has a bike drop that opens at 7:30 p.m. on Friday evening. Kathy will be there starting at 7:30, and that in your race update number 3 that you got with this video is at the Ringgold Mountain Bike Trailhead is where that's located. So you're going to want to stage all your bike gear and your bikes there Friday evening at 7:30. For the 8 and 3-hour racers, your bike drop is just at headquarters when you check in. So volunteers will instruct you to a designated area that we'll have for bikes, and volunteers will be watching those throughout the day. And that's where your gear goes.
And for 8-hour and 3-hour, even if you're starting the race on bike, you still need to have your bike in that bike drop area at the start. Everyone's going to start on foot. 18-hour racers, just to reiterate, please be sure to do that bike drop before you check in at headquarters. Otherwise, you're going to spend an hour driving to and from.
Yeah, and it's pretty close. It's within a 20-minute drive.
Like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. And 18-hour racers, when you come through that bike TA at night, just make sure to take all of your bike gear with you when you leave. Don't leave anything behind. So anything you drop there has to come with you on the course when you leave. For paddle gear, as Tim already said, race volunteers are going to transport personal paddle gear for the 8 and 18-hour racers to and from headquarters. So you're not going to have to carry your paddle gear at any point on the course. 3-hour racers, you're required to use the race provided paddle gear. You can't bring your own. And are there going to be there'll be youth PFDs for kids provided from the canoe outfitter. For 4-person family teams with 2 or more small children, you may choose to put all of you in one canoe if you feel safer that way. That's totally fine.
And to reiterate, all 3-person teams, even if you're all adults, need to fit in one canoe. So it's best to see if that 3rd person can be sitting rather low in the boat, so you don't tip it over. You cannot sit on that center beam. It can break, and it's also highly unstable.
For parking this year, race headquarters is at Granite Peak, so there's going to be ample parking. There is a sign you'll see on the gate when you enter the parking lot that says the gate locks or closes at 4 p.m. Don't worry about that. The gate will stay open the whole time, so you can access, your cars. And
we might be able to cover that up.
We might just cover that up, so you might not even see that. The race location does not have camping this year, but Banter Hotel is sponsoring the race and has provided a block of rooms at a discounted rate for racers. You should have gotten that code or that link. It's on the website, and it's also been in the race updates too, if you need to book a room.
By the way, and someone asked me this just in an email a couple of days ago, I want to point out that when you click that link, it says like, here's the price for 2 nights, and it's like $230 for 2 nights. And at first when I did it too, I was like, wow, that's a lot for 1 night. That's for 2 nights. You can just book with that same code for 1 night, and it's half of that. So it's like 118 or 114 a night, something like that. It's very reasonable for Waus area.
Yeah. Banter is also providing an after party for the racers. That's going to be at Banter Hotel in Rothschild starting at 7 p.m. on Saturday evening, and they're going to have live music. So if you can stick around, that'll be a fun time to just kind of talk about the race and get to know your fellow racers. So for check-in, make sure all of your team members are present when your team checks in. When you go through the check-in line, you'll enter through one door, go right down the line, visit every table, and then exit out the other door and get your picture taken your team photo taken before you leave. So you're going to get a team bag with all of your race bibs. A race bib will have to go on each team member's pack, and you'll get your t-shirts. You'll get your individual swag, and that's when you pick up your maps and all of your instructions is when you check in. So the earlier you can get to check in, the earlier you're going to get your maps and the more time you can spend planning out your race day. Any pre-purchased merchandise, so like our mugs, bowls, shirts, all of that, we're going to have a coupon in there. Is that right? That you turn in?
If you pre-purchase them, there'll be a little sheet of paper, and you bring that to the merch table.
Yeah, so bring that to the merch table. We'll have it set aside for you. That way there's not a bunch of mugs in with all of your racer bags that might get broken. So they'll have safety pins in your bags. That's for your bib numbers, red-eye coupons, other flyers and goodies, and freebies, and also a raffle ticket. We have some really cool raffle items this year. Mike Closer from Out There Packs has donated some amazing stuff, including like this huge Out There pack, some really cool hip packs, bladders, hats, and every racer is going to get a buff from Out There. And our friends Hiroki and Fukiko from Katana Adventure have donated really cool little swag items too, including like earrings, keychains. These go on your valve caps for your bike. And so just, yeah, some cool stuff. Oh, and then here's our mugs. Bowls from last year will be for sale, and then we also have these mugs from this year.
We stickers, lots of things, and Iron Bowl merchandise that you can buy as well.
Yeah. All right. Oh, for t-shirts. So t-shirts came out great this year. We did have to place an order by early May. So for those of you who just registered within this last week, I think there's some kids that registered this past week. We do have shirts from other years for you. So I think pretty much everybody
I
should
think
get,
most everyone's going to get this year's
Get their
shirt, and a few of you will get maybe last year or the year before shirt
yes,
if you register after then. But we do have a shirt for everyone, which is exciting.
yes. And then of course you'll get your team photo, and then you're through registration.
So you'll get two things. You get a bag with stuff, and then that race packet is going to have your instructions for the race, including your clue sheets. It'll have maps, and really importantly, it'll have your team's e-punch finger stick. We don't have one right now. Andrea is programming them all at the moment. It's about this big. It almost looks like a little USB stick, and it has a thing to wrap around your wrist and to put on your finger. And I would recommend doing that, securing it so you don't lose it. Every year someone loses one. Make sure you take that along with you on the course. The maps are going to be waterproof, but the instructions are not, like the clue sheets are not. So we'd recommend bringing a waterproof map case or Ziploc bag or something. Even waterproof maps, if you really beat them up, nothing's going to last forever. So it's nice to keep those protected even though they are waterproof. It'll be a mix of some satellite maps, some USGS maps with topography, as well as some general road maps for like biking and riding on trails. There's a mix of control descriptions, particularly for, well, I guess really for all three races. Some simple things like knoll or hilltop. The 18 and the 8-hour race have some more advanced feature descriptions, like a saddle, which is kind of a low point between two high points, a re-entrance. So there'll be some depressions, spurs, ridges. So be familiar with your topographical maps and features. There are some off-limit roads, couple on the 3-hour course, more on the 8 and the 18-hour course. We've marked them with red X's on the map. Please stay off. We've just marked those for your safety mainly. So you stay off busier roads or in some cases because of construction. There is a little bit of construction on part of all three courses, but we've been assured that the bike path that you'd be riding on is rideable. You can cross over where those X's are if you're crossing over a busy road, or in some cases like an overpass or a tunnel even. But please do not travel on or along them. And again, that private property is going to be marked in red. I mentioned the finger stick that's going to be in there. This is what a checkpoint looks like. And this will be, let me bring up can't see ourselves. This will be hanging in the woods. There we go. And on top of it is the e-punch box. You'll notice each one has a number. This is not going to correspond to the checkpoint number in your map, but it corresponds to the box number on the clue sheet. That like if you found one and you're like, I'm not sure we're in the right spot, you could double check it by looking at this number. Basically, you're going to put that little USB stick, again, I'm just going to use a pen because I don't have one right now, and then put it in this hole, and it's going to beep and flash. Once you see it beep or flash at least once, you're good to go. It's usually pretty instantaneous. And that will record the data on your finger stick, your e-punch finger stick that you're going to turn in at the end of the race. So for all you new racers, this is what you're looking for hanging out at the woods at every one of those checkpoint locations.
We will put the reflector ones on the 18-hour nighttime
Yes.
course this year.
Yes, a couple of you have reminded us of that. So you'll be able to see these better at nights for the 18-hour racers. And again, just if you punch it once, if you happen to like hold in there longer, it's just going to keep beeping. As long as it beeps or flashes once, you should be good to go. So that's what you're looking for out on the course. And then, yeah, when you finish the race, under the start finish banner is one final one of these checkpoint flags that says finish on it. You punch the finish box with your finger stick, and then we'd like you to head straight to the volunteer table inside the historic chalet to download your results and turn in that finger stick. 18-hour racers and 8-hour racers who rented trackers, all 18-hour teams, and then a few of the 8-hour teams, please also at that time turn in your tracker. So right after you finish, send one team inside to turn those things in. Again, watch your time. You'll lose one checkpoint per minute that you're late. So it's really important that you get back on time A, for the rules of the race, and B, because we don't want to worry about you if you're late and we don't have a way to find where you are. There will be there's plenty of bathrooms at headquarters inside the historic chalet. There's bathrooms at both either porta potties or bathrooms at both remote TAs on the 8-hour course as well as on the 3-hour course. And 18-hour racers, you'll be traveling through some remote land in the middle of the night. There's plenty of thousands of acres of woods just 10 feet off the trail as well. 18-hour races, I will say that there's not a restroom at the race start. So plan to use the restroom before you leave headquarters. And as you've probably gathered by now, we're going to put you on a bus and bus you somewhere because that bike drop is quite a ways away from the start, and we're not going to expect you to run there. So when you get off the bus, you're going to have to get maybe a little ways onto the course before you have access to the woods for a bathroom, just as an FYI, because we're dropping you off in kind of a neighborhood, if you will. So we don't want you just like peeing in somebody's front yard. There's water available for the 8-hour and 18-hour racers on the course. 3-hour racers, please plan to bring enough water for you to last the duration of the race. 8-hour racers, there is one of the TAs water available for you.
So weather for this weekend, it's going to be a little cool. On Friday night, 18-hour racers might have a low of 39 degrees. Saturday should be a high of 60, so it should be a nice racing weather.
Perfect race weather, if you ask me. Perfect.
Really small chance of rain on Friday night, but you never know, so just be prepared and bring your mandatory gear. The course is buggy. The mosquitoes are out, the ticks are out, so make sure to bring bug spray, wear long pants, things you don't mind getting ripped up, tuck your socks into your pants into your socks, or wear gaiters, and check yourselves really well after the race for ticks.
Though that 39 degrees is going to help a lot.
Yeah.
With the mosquitoes, that'll kill some off.
Yeah, so they haven't been too bad these last couple days. For emergency procedures, you'll have a written emergency action plan when you check in with all of your race information. Obviously, if you come across a team that is having some trouble and needs some help, please stop and help them out. Just keep track of your time and we'll reimburse you for that. So fire department and EMS have been notified of the race, so there will be help nearby in case of like a life-threatening emergency. But if that happens, make sure to call 911. Just keep in mind that the expectation is that every racer and every team is self-sufficient. So make sure you have all the first aid things that you might need for the race. Be prepared to take care of minor injuries or scrapes out on the course. We can't come out and rescue you if something happens. But if it really is a true emergency, definitely call 911 and follow the emergency procedures in your packet. Basically, you just need to be able to get back to headquarters by your own power, whatever that is. If you have to drop out of the race or a team member has to drop out of the race for any reason, just please let the race directors know so we're not out in the woods looking for you and thinking that you might be lost. So just let somebody know if you need to drop out.
For mandatory gear, make sure you have all the mandatory gear. We have been known to check every team for mandatory gear items and assess penalties if you don't have that mandatory gear item amongst either the individuals, every individual on the team, or team gear as it may be. So be prepared for a gear check somewhere on the course. For 18-hour racers, I'll just put in a second reminder because of the weather. Be sure you have that waterproof jacket with a hood and an insulating long sleeve top and an insulating hat. It's going to be cold, and if you were to get wet, you would need all of those layers on. So I understand, like we race pretty light and fast when we race, but if there's that potential of that kind of cold weather, you need something if someone were to get injured and you had to stop moving to keep yourself warm until rescue could be sent. 18-hour racers, please, when you're biking, have that flashing light on at all times at night whenever you're on the bike, at least until 5:30 a.m. on Saturday when the sun is up. 18-hour racers, there's going to be a recommended bike route through some urban areas and a waypoint as you cross the river on bike on a bridge. Don't worry, we've done, I guess, the opposite of that too before, but it's not this year. So just be looking for that just to kind of, it's suggested just to kind of get around some construction and also just as a safer route because there's some busier roads in that area.
And you can choose whatever route you want. We just picked this one because some of the roads are busy. There won't be a lot of traffic in the middle of the night, but we're worried about drunk drivers and just keeping you all safe. So that's our recommended route for safety and also construction, but you can choose whatever way you want to get through there.
On the paddle section for all racers, there's a couple spots that are particularly shallow, and there's even some logs down. We've marked those logs in two spots. One spot you can kind of like weave around them and maybe avoid bottoming out. There's another one where there's like a log across the river, and you could go a long way around to avoid it, or you could just hop out and it's like, I don't know, less than knee deep. Yeah.
Or you could easily portage
Or
right
just
on the
portage
bank.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's options, but there may be times where it's advantageous to get out of your boat once or twice and get your feet a little wet to pull your boat through that paddle section. A reminder on GPS watches. Any GPS watch is not allowed unless it's a newer Garmin watch that has an AR mode, adventure race mode. So make sure if you're wearing a GPS watch that it's a Garmin that has adventure race mode. Otherwise, it's not allowed, and it can't be worn while you are racing. If you want to like turn your watch on and put it in your pack and just promise you won't take it out, that's okay. We'll allow that for tracking purposes, but it can't stay on your wrist unless it has AR mode. There's cell coverage over most of the course. A couple of more remote sections in the 18-hour race. Just try to, if you don't have cell coverage and you need to get a hold of us, send a text if a call's not going through, and then try to move to a higher spot if possible.
And same for GPS watches, we also had a question about GPS bike computers. Those are also not allowed. You can have a bike computer and would recommend it for distance, and that's fine to keep the speed.
Just a regular odometer that doesn't communicate with the satellite.
Yep.
But no Garmin's on your bike. That's not allowed. So when you check in at a TA, a transition area, rather than giving them your team name, if we could ask that you give them your team number only, which will be published soon. And also, we have every year a cleanup award. If you have any trash you've collected off the race course, you can have a volunteer and you can count out loud and tell the volunteer, this is how many pieces of trash I just put in this trash bag, and they will record that along with what time you're in. So please give a volunteer your team number, and if you collect any trash, the number of pieces of trash you collected on the race course.
So that way you don't have to carry the trash with you for the entire duration of the race. And 18-hour racers, you'll have a lot of opportunities for the cleanup.
There was one area that was like, oh my goodness, you're going to go hog wild out there. Okay, the paddle section, please make sure you're wearing PFDs at all times. That's a mandatory thing. Again, don't sit on the center thwarts. Please also do not drag the boats. Please carry to the boats to where they need to be placed. When you get to the paddle TA, volunteers will tell you where to put your bikes and where to get boats. Kayaks and kayak paddles are for soloists only. So please, if you're on a team, don't take the kayaks, and also don't take the kayak paddles. Those are only for the soloists, the ones that are provided there. When finished with the paddle, the volunteers will tell you where to place the boat. Similarly, while biking, please make sure you're wearing helmets at all times while riding bikes. That's mandatory. 18-hour teams take all the gear with you when you leave the bike drop, as was mentioned. 3-hour and 8-hour racers have a special challenge, and the volunteers will tell you what to do once you've completed the special challenge. There's one e-punch that you'll punch before you leave. We lock up most of the CP flags. Any ones that we don't are really out in the middle of nowhere that we're not concerned about, but it's possible. We've never actually had one go missing in the 9 years we put on this race, but you never know. We've been in races where you wouldn't think one would go missing, and it did. So if you get there and you're like, I'm sure I'm in the right spot, it's possible if one gets stolen, it would just be removed from the course, meaning no one would get credit for it. So don't spend an hour knowing you're in the right spot. Think about how certain you are and move on if you're certain it should be there and it wasn't.
We're going to have our photographers, our professional photographers, Ann and Lee, out on the course again. They might pop up in some very unexpected places at unexpected times. So feel free to interact with them. They're awesome, or feel free to completely ignore them and continue on with your race. They'll photograph all of it. So we're really lucky to have them again this year. We're hoping to have photos up within a couple of days, hopefully. So they'll be working hard on that. Food for the race this year is, again, the Urban Street Bistro food truck. That'll be at headquarters for the end of the race between 3 and 6 p.m. This year's menu is Cuban Mojo pork bowls with citrus, garlic, and cumin, marinated roasted pork, black beans, rice, sofrito, pineapple, mango slaw, or a vegetarian option, which is roast sweet potato with lentils and chickpeas. Both are really high in protein, low fat, gluten-free, and always delicious, as always. We'll have a variety of red eye beer, also non-alcoholic beer from Athletic Brewing, and some soda and water and fruit. Every racer will get one ticket stub per person in their swag bag when you check in, and that's what you're going to turn in for your meal ticket. If you want to buy a second or third meal, you can purchase that with cash, and also spectators and family members can purchase a meal if they like. There'll be plenty of food there. We have beautiful finisher medals for everybody when they cross the finish line, and awards and plaques as well. We're hoping to have all the results tallied and be able to host awards at 6 p.m. Race finishes at 5, so we're hoping to get that all wrapped up within an hour. And after the race, we'll publish results and professional photos as soon as we can. As always, we love feedback at the end of the race. We've talked about items that we're going to have for sale. That'll be after the race too. We'll have a table set up with all of that if you want to purchase merchandise. And then we also have an amazing calendar of races later this year.
So pretty soon after our race down in the, I think Madison area in Oregon, Wisconsin, the Code Blue Challenge has a 3-hour and 8-hour in mid-June. At the end of June, 180 Adventure is hosting the Stubborn Mule this year, the 5-hour, 12-hour, and 24-hour up in the Cable Hayward area. That's always like such a cool remote course. I think we've done that one over 10 times. Paula and Julie put on an amazing event. The Minnesota Orienteering Club is putting on their adventure. Oh, by the way, most of these race directors are going to be at the race this weekend. So shout out to you all for coming out, and be sure to say hi to them if you see them out there. John Daniels putting on a 4-hour and 8-hour race in the Minneapolis area of Minnesota. The guys from Adventure Race Northern Illinois are putting on their race name this year called Get It Under Control. It's a 4-hour and 8-hour in Northern Illinois at the beginning of August. I didn't think I said back in that Minnock Adventure was mid-July. Ryan Peternell is putting on a new race called the Waddling Warriors Adventure Race, 7-hour and 14-hour down in Potosi, Wisconsin, August 23rd. Then getting into the fall, there's 2 fall races, a new race down in Iowa at Strawberry Point, Iowa, 4-hour and 9-hour called the Wild Driftless Adventure Race. Frank will be here racing, and I've heard great things about the plans he has for this new adventure race in the Iowa area. We've raced in Iowa a few times over the years. It's really an awesome area for adventure racing. There's some great topography. So you want to check that out on October 4th, that 4-hour or 9-hour. And then the annual Milwaukee area Fall Frenzy 3-hour, 8-hour, and 18-hour in the Delafield area is November 1st. And then finally, the last race of the year in the series is the Rib Mountain Adventure Challenge Winter Edition. We have a 6-hour adventure race, a 3-hour adventure race, and a 3-hour with a no bike option, meaning it's just a 3-hour trekking option race. That's on December 6th, within 30 miles of Wausau. So lots of great events in the Wisconsin Adventure Race Series. Again, if you compete in any 3 of them, you will win the Gear Junkie Award, the Adventure Junkie Award. And then the national championship, which some races in the series earn you points towards, is going to be in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's a 30-hour race this year on September 12th through 13th. So we hope to see many of you at Adventure Racing Nationals this year.
Lastly, we're going to have a live Q&A session this Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and you'll be getting a Zoom link for that. So if you have any questions, please tune into that.
All right, so we'll look forward to seeing some of you on Zoom on Thursday nights. We'll publish that video as well afterwards, if in case any important, or maybe summarize those questions if any important came up. Otherwise, we'll see you all either Friday night or Saturday. Happy prepping, everyone, and we can't wait to see you out on the course. Happy adventuring, and we'll see you soon.